We will go on with IT, OT, and Jörg just reminded me of a formulation of an idea from Eleni Richter from ENBW, who called operation technology rustic IT. In some sense, I think she's right. This is old technology, it's old hardware, old software, somehow it works, and nobody knows exactly why. We will go on with a view on the identity and access management world, how this has to change in view of the challenges of IT-OT integration. Please welcome Louis-Marie Fouchard. Hello, Louis-Marie. So you're one of the founders of Evidience, that's right. So I know you're part of this big organization.
Big family in Atos. So it's specific positions that we are product providers in a worldwide company for service.
Okay, so it'll be very interesting to hear your view on the future.
Yes, thank you. So I'm responsible for AIM products in Atos now, and coming from Evidian, working with Delix with some products, and we deliver products, INISV, in a very big company, which is a worldwide service provider. So a specific position that gives us a chance to make very large projects and to experiment our products in real projects on historical customers of Atos. So, yeah. My agenda today is first to explain you an experience that we have made, a real experience that we have made on IT-OT convergence. It's a project that a proof of concept that we have done with a large customer. Then after, we will try to understand how this experience will change our view of the product, and I share prospect and projects with you. So, yeah, you know that my colleague just before, Yariv, has explained what was OT. I will not explain exactly what it is, because you know now what it is. We have industrial control system, and those industrial control system, you have pumps, valves, actioners, transformers, a lot of things like that that was before managed with very old protocols that are dead now or will dead soon, that are replaced by new technologies with IP, web services, and so on. So our historical customers, like nuclear plant providers in France, in Germany, in Swiss, and other energy providers, ask us, please, can we use the normal AIM products, the normal technologies, to manage the OT networks that are now working with normal technologies, modern technologies, such as web services and other. So, of course, it's a challenge, because if we share technologies, we share the threat and the risks that you have hackers, you have bugs, you have everything that are risk for OT. And we cannot afford to have risk on operational technology, such nuclear plant, for example. So we worked with Swissgrid in Switzerland to make the requirement for IT-OT convergence. So it was a very, very nice job to make with them the requirement. And the first requirement is that IT and OT has to be isolated. Two different networks with an air gap in between. It's something mandatory to have to be sure that you have no access to the OT network. So it's the first thing, whichever the user is, contractor, employees, partners, you need to have isolation between the two networks. Second thing is, of course, you have to audit what is done on OT. And it should be better to do it on the IT system. It's easier, we have the tools, and so on. And we have to use all the processes that are already in place in IT. So this is a requirement. The prerequisite is we have two things new. First, it's possible to isolate. Okay, we know how to do it now. IT and OT has to be isolated. And second thing is now, all the people who intervene on a nuclear plant or whichever the OT is, they have either a specific device, which is given by the company, or they have a mobile phone, or they have a tablet. So they have something with them that is possible to use to make authentication, authorization, and so on. So we know that it's possible. So we implemented something, we proposed to SwissGrid something very specific. So I tried to explain, it will be difficult, but I tried to explain to you. At the left part, yes, it's left. I think at the left part, you have the IT with all the tools that you have today, Office, SAP, the AIM products that we have deployed. We have the air gap, and at the right part, you have the OT. It's the energy network with pumps, floodgates, and everything like that. What we implemented is a specific concept that when a technician arrives in the OT, he enrolls his mobile phone, or his device, or his tablet, and he enrolls, authenticates in the OT, and the device asks the rights to the IT. That means that it's something that is completely compatible with the air gap concept. If you like the concept in authentication and authorization, it's the policy application is in IT, the policy decision point is a mobile, and the policy enforcement point is in OT. So it's something which is not federation. It was not possible to implement federation because you don't go from IT to OT. There is no line. So mobile is some kind of token to bring authorization from IT, where you can get it and organize it, to OT, when you have only to implement rights. So it's implementation, it's a proof of concept. You can have a demonstration here on the booth if you want to know more how it works, because I can only give you some hints how it works. And of course, some benefits of this is, of course, that we have a secure solution, because we have a very strong access control with several level of two factors, at least 2 or 3 factors of authentication. We have no connection. We are not using any connection between IT and OT. And we are using the AIM tools to give rights, to manage rights, to audit in the IT, the standard product of the market. No big change in this. So I think that you read perfectly German. Ich verstehe nicht. But we have got a good quote from our customer that is satisfied. they will start to implement it on their network. And so I know that you understand. It's pretty good, okay? Now, I want to go one step further, because this is a strange way to implement federation with the mobile. It's interesting, but what can we do with that? Is there any chance to replicate or to use this model for other market, for other needs? And really, that's something that happened today, that you know that we have a lot of security threats. Everybody speak about that, explain you that you have all this problem with terrorists and with WikiLeaks, with everything. So it's a generic way to say that everybody here understand what is threats on the IT, on the OT, and what happened is another historical customer asked us, it was 1 year ago, to split his IT. So it's a reason why I say it's IT divergence, because it's not IT-OT convergence, it's divergence because they had a single IT for all the civil and defense activities. And we had AIM deployed over there, and they asked us to split into two parts and to implement two networks with isolation, with air gap, exactly the same as we did for Swiss Grid. We have to split into two parts, and we are proposing to implement this way, exactly the same way, to have at the left part all the civil activities with a normal AIM and so on, and at the right part a specific network, isolated, and all the activities on the defense network will be managed with this specific device. You arrive, you authenticate with your smartphone, flashing a QR code. You ask your right to the IT, and you get the right, you work. So it's something very interesting that comes from IT-OT and will be used for IT separation. And we will have more and more this kind of request on historical customers, which has huge networks, and want to isolate some part of their job. Okay? So maybe, as I say, we can imagine to have other projects in the future, for example, in banking area, where they will isolate specific part of their networks, of their IT, for example, for trading or for ATM networks. It's not something that exists today, but we have to think about that separation and isolation of part in IT is a trend today. So now, I want to make a link with what will happen with the Internet of Things. It's next step. Next step is we are working for the moment with a real estate company, and everybody speaks about this million of objects that everybody will have in the near future. And there is one thing very interesting. I know that this it's in France, a real estate management company, which built towers somewhere in Paris. And they have several towers, and they don't want to share their objects. We say that objects, everybody will go and get the object, and you have threatened on this object. No, they don't want to share it. They want to have isolate network with their objects in a tower. And today you have about 20 things per room. So it's something like 10,000 potential things in a tower. And they want to have a specific network. And of course, you have the same problem that for IT/OT, you need to have people coming on this tower, intervening on Centralheizung or air control, lights, lifts, and so on. So the same thing. All the people, when they intervene now, they have a device which is given by the company managing the real estate manager. So they take it, they enroll their smartphone or their device in the tower, they get the right from the central IT, and they work in the tower. So it's something that we are working in. It's really something new, and a new requirement that we have to answer, and we will work this year on that. Maybe we could imagine to have the same kind of thing for the telco sector, because in telco sectors, I know that a lot of telco operators imagine to have dedicated network for things, not sharing things with everybody, to have a dedicated network. And in this case, they will have the same problem, and we could offer the same solution, that we have these isolated networks, and with all the technicians intervening for maintenance, remote operation, not remote operation, intervention on the network, can use this technology. So I wanted only to share the way we are working in Atos. We have a chance to have large projects existing along a big install base. We are working with our historical customers to work with them and to build what is possible to do with now Internet of Things, separation of IT/OT. And it's a way it's a part. Building product is good, but building product with projects, with customers, and with service providers is something interesting, and the way we are working. Okay? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
So, just stay here for a second. Your solution is the same, more or less, in the OT and IoT environment.
Yes.
So my question is there, there's a lot of different approaches targeting IoT and OT differently, also historically, explainable from a historical point of view. Do you see a real difference between OT and IoT, Internet of Things? Can we treat it the same way? Will that difference disappear in 5 years or so?
I think that IT/OT is the first step. Anyway, OT is the first Internet of Things. Pumps, valves, system are things.
Yeah.
So it's a way to implement in a little range, not so big, implement IoT management, AIM for IoT. We start with OT, and we imagine how to grow with the number of objects that we forecast and that you forecast as well.
Okay. That's interesting. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.